Welcome back, Bishwadeep sir.
Thank you.
So we have a few Dhurandhar specific questions. So if you could, this is for the common viewer and people who have loved the film who, want to know a little more about what happened behind the scenes.
I'll see what I can.
As a sound designer of the film, which scene do you remember in either part that was toughest to design sonically?
The first part, it was the Ramaho song.
Okay. Why was that?
Because there's a song happening, there are dialogues happening over there, there is an action, there's a shootout that happens in that. So negotiating all that together in the mix was far more difficult because the song is giving that energy. And, there are places where the action is, or the shots have not come out, then you have to kick back the song inside. So these kind of situations were very challenging, but without compromising on the song, where music should take precedence, where where the sound effects should come in. So all these things were very important for us. Also to match Usha Uttup's voice and Madhumanti's voice in the song. The older track and the contemporary track.
Mm.
So Shah, of course, had done a wonderful job of matching the energy of both the songs. But we had to still work on that, bring in a certain level of consistency to both the singers. We had to bring in, the dialogues also happening over there. Then there's a whole scene happening. There's a whole plot of assassination plot that is going on. So you are bringing in dialogues also, which is happening. So you put the song in the background as though it's a party kind of a song. And it should not lose the energy. And later that song kind of kicks in when the action also happens. So that was a very challenging part, both design-wise and mix-wise.
Anything that you remember from part 2? In terms of, because a lot of action, a lot of...
Part 2, a lot of it,
Any particular scene that you remember that was...
all the scenes were challenging, actually. Right. All the scenes were challenging. So all the killings were like really challenging. All the action scenes, whenever the action scenes come and the music comes in, so those things are very challenging. Okay. The cast, the first scene, the first part, the bike chase scene, the cops and the, the music, the retro song playing over there. So that eventually came into a beautiful design where where the effects were like, you have to be too careful not to make it too effect heavy. At the same time, the song should register. So these are things, because music brings in the emotion.
Mm.
Because gunshots and action becomes tiring. At the end of the day, it becomes tiring. So somewhere you have to dilute that action, because once you have established the killing and the ruthlessness, then it should be the emotion of the aftermath of the killing, for example, or the rag, or the anger of the guy who's taking the revenge. That should also come out. But these kind of emotions come out best musically. You cannot bring them out in design. So it has to be a combination of action as well as music. So I would say the entire film, first half and second half, consistently was a challenge. But these were parts that were like really... Sonically far more challenging.
Right.
Then, of course, the rallies, the witty dialogues that are there, then the kind of effects that you are putting in, the kind of music that is coming in over there, the songs that are coming in over there. So we are all running into each other at some point. But to achieve that thing, emotionally, what brings it forward, I think we achieved that.
Any moment of silence that worked better than music in the film? Any scene that you remember that silence worked here better?
Oh God, I have to recollect the film now. Recollect those moments.
Anything that you remember?
There were quite a few places where the silence was there. Like, there were silent places between the actions. And those silences were very important, because then what happens after that, has a much bigger impact. So you need to create a particular silence for the next thing to come in.
Who takes a decision that this will be silence, like silence before the storm kind of a thing?
The lull before the storm.
Yeah,
so that largely it was Aditya, of course, and his editor Shiv. They have created these particular sequences. But once they were put together, then you knew where to completely take out the music and just the effects. So there are a lot of places. The funny part is I don't remember
That's fine.
exactly
But-
which sections.
But do you also, as the sound designer, say, boss, remove this,
Yeah.
just keep the dialogue?
Yeah.
Or keep this completely silent?
Yeah.
Do you also take
Yes,
those calls?
we do that.
You do?
So there is a place where they hang out, where the juice guy hangs out with him in that green room. Wash my butts
Right.
tea shop.
Right.
So there are moments of silence over there. There are moments of silence in so many places, like after the bike chase, the quiet moment with these two people walking, Then
So do you take that call that either let's not
it
keep
actually
anything?
speaks for itself. Everybody knows that, here we should make it silent.
Okay.
So you can suggest that, we can not have music over there, or we can not have this particular sound
Right.
over there.
Right.
So this keeps happening,
Okay.
and usually you're in agreement with the director because everybody feels the same way over there. Even the music director sometimes feels ki yaar ye music yahan mat rakho.
Right. Right.
It's not working.
So next question. How do you stop large action scenes from becoming just noise?
Fortunately, in this, there were a lot of dynamics, there were a lot of things, but intermittent action. The story also is largely responsible. The intermittent action that happens in between, it's not a continuous action, like a continuous war happening or a continuous battle happening. So there are these moments of, killings that are happening, which are very dynamic, very like, the first killing of that guy, the gas cylinder thing. That, then the assassinations, the chopping of the heads, and the sudden quietness after the execution of Rahman Dakat. So all these moments, the silent scene, one good silent scene was the time when this guy, his son was killed. The Rahman Dakat's son is killed.
Okay.
And the hospital scene was quiet. So there, that silence brought in, the grief
Right.
of this guy losing. It needs to be a very private and a very quiet moment. That silence worked very well. That needed to be silent.
Right.
After that entire action, the somberness of the whole thing, the grief, and this guy getting a chance to get into that Rahman Dakat's gang.
Right.
That was an intense moment.
Yes. Going to the other extreme is the noise part. Meaning there's
the noise
too much action, too
Yeah.
much of blasts and too much of things happening. How do you prevent sonically, how does
Then
that?
the music comes in as a balm.
Okay.
Like I told you, when it becomes too much of that action and all that, then the music kicks in.
Okay.
Then, those things are happening. You can feel the gunshots, you can feel the whizzing of the bullets passing by, you can feel but then it comes in, the music comes in to kind of cover up all that. Because at one point you have to reduce the music because it will get too tiring. So, but overall, the film was not very loud. It did not need to be loud like many of the South films. They're unnecessarily, they're bringing up the volume and making you uncomfortable as an audience. We did not do that. We played on range, the low end and this thing. So if you give that amount of thickness, then you won't feel the need to make it loud. I have a feeling that, all this loudness is a desperate attempt to cover the weakness in the script or the storytelling. So you're trying to distract the audience by, baffling them with bullshit.
Right.
But there was no bullshit in this film.
Yeah.
And there was no need to get into those kind of things. So dynamics came in wherever they were required. And it was not a loud film.
Great. What do you think was the biggest difference in your sound design approach for part 1 and part 2?
See, there was no difference.
Achha.
Because I'll tell you, like I tell everybody, this is a 7-hour film with a 3-month interval. So we did not, when we started working on it, there was no part 2 initially. So it was a continuum of what we were doing. So it was not consciously, okay, second part has to be louder. No, the second part, whatever the script dictated, we did. So there was no different approach to treating it. It could not be because it is the same film. It is the same situation, it's the same characters. It's an extension of the first part. It is one film. So nothing was different.
So even for dubbing, Ranveer Singh had the same
thing.
Just like what you guided him in part 1, you did that for part 2 also?
See, I did not guide him. I was like, we were monitoring those things and we were kind of bringing in, because it was a thing that he chose and it was something which we liked and which we also had in mind. So it was this thing. But you needed that guidance to kind of, because sonically you needed to get that texture out.
Correct.
So therefore guidance.
Right.
But it was the same. If you look at part 1 also, you look at part 2 also, his dialogues and his things were same. We use the same equalizations, we use the same processing, we use the same kind of
same for the score
approach.
Also? Similar
for the score
score also?
Yeah.
Okay.
So the sonically, it's the same thing.
Okay. It shouldn't feel like this is a completely new film only.
No.
Because the sound processing.
Yeah. The only thing is like when you're showing the younger Hamza. When you're showing the younger Hamza, then you kind of told him, keep a normal voice. Don't get into that rustic kind of voice. Because that is a voice that has come out of a lot of pain and restraint and anger. Here it's a more young, youthful kind of a guy, but a guy who has got a raw deal in life, basically. Right. So there, the voices. So those subtle things were always there.
Okay. Any scene where you and the director Aditya Dhar had any differences in the sound ideas initially?
No. No, because you agreed to everything. Pretty much nobody was in disagreement with each other in the entire process, in the sound department at least.
Right. So there was all...
Yeah, it was all in sync. And then if he brought out something, then you realized why he's saying that.
Okay.
It's not like, okay, let's not have music over here. It's not like you get up in the morning and say, decide, okay, today we are...
So no changes. Arey, kal acha lag raha tha.
No.
Aaj, arey, yaar, maja nahi aa raha. Nothing.
No way.
If it's locked, it's locked.
It's locked. And not only that, it's like, you're continuously working on that. So it is not when you're all looking at it, you're all looking at it with a perspective. And there may have been certain places where he's saying that, yaar, wo pehle se hi lag raha tha ki usko music piece jam nahi raha hai wahan pe. But even Shah was not happy with that. Okay. So it's something that, if you're not happy with it, I cannot be happy with it. So that sort of a thing.
So like you said in the previous interview of ours, you said all were working for the film.
Yeah. They're all working eventually for the film. So agar nahi ho raha to it's not working. It's evident. It's not about you and me and my sound and your music. It's not about all that. It's about collectively whether it's helping the storytelling.
Got it. Which sound layer in the film is secretly doing the most emotional work?
That is hard to say. But what I can say is there's one secret layer which is happening under every explosion, which is a nice bass drop that Vijay has given, which kind of adds to the grandeur of the explosion. Without sounding loud, it is having a massive effect. I thought that was a brilliant, like most of the explosions, most of the gunshots were so well designed that it cut through without sounding harsh, without sounding, painful. It just gave that. And for me, what is important is the traveling of the bullet. It's not just about the gunshot. Of course, the gunshot is important because you're adding layers to the gunshot. It's not just if you hear a pistol, it is very unglamorous. It sounds like a firecracker. Tak. Khatam. So, but the dichkiyan wala jo feel apna Hindi film ka hai, uske liye we need to give layers and layers of sound to make it sound more impactful, thick. So, these kind of things happen. So even in the explosions, so there was a kind of a low end which became like a sweetener. At the same time, it gave that low energy impact. So the explosions were big, but not hard.
Is there a sound detail or one sound detail you wish that the audiences noticed more?
See, there are a lot of, in all the films that you do, if the audience starts noticing the layers of sound, then you have lost him actually. Because I don't want the audience to react to my sound individually. It has to be the film that person. If he says that, editing acha laga, ya camera acha laga, then you're not then the film as a collective, everything together has worked for the audience. But what I do get a lot is, आपका background music बहुत अच्छा है. Because they don't have a concept of sound design. And what I try and tell people is, what is sound design? You take away the music, you take away the dialogues, and whatever else is left is the sound design. So this is constantly happening throughout the film, and it's happening constantly in our lives. We don't listen to it because हम लोग ध्यान नहीं देते. There's always sounds happening around us. There's traffic, there's a door opening, there's an alarm clock, there's somebody's working in the kitchen. So all these sounds we take for granted. When you're walking, there are footsteps. When you're walking on the ice, there are footsteps. When you're walking on gravel, there's a different texture. When you're walking on carpet or wooden floors, they're separate. But they're taken for granted because ये तो होता ही है. They don't realize there's a whole industry working behind getting these sounds there. But they should at the same time be discreet and not pop out. But for those reading in between the lines, they will know, they will see where you have cleverly done whatever you have done.
And this concept of sound design, the basics, you beautifully explained in the series that we did before.
Yeah.
It is like a masterclass on sound design. So people can go and watch that, those who are interested.
Right.
If audiences close their eyes, this is a random question, and only listen to Dhurandhar 1, Dhurandhar 2, what should they feel?
See, if you have seen the film, you will automatically relate to it. Even if you close your eyes, it depends on how it has touched you, how the film has emotionally affected you. So, it depends on how the audience has perceived it. So, when you shut the visuals off, then it's the entire sound that is telling you the story. But if you're particularly looking at something, which would be, I would love it if you do that, when you switch off the visuals and only hear the sounds and see what are the elements that have gone inside.
Can they live that story? I mean,
I think
if it's just audio.
I think so. Because music has a lot of recall value. I wouldn't say only for sound design, I'll say the entire soundtrack, right from dialogue to the music to the sound effects. You should be able to relate to it.
Lovely. Bishwadeep, it was wonderful talking to you.
Thank you. I hope
No, you did.
I made sense.
You did. Thank you again.
Thank you.